have like a special router that doesn't. Um, uh,
You're live. How you doing, everybody?
Hey,
What's
everyone
going
getting
on,
ready?
everybody? This is Atlanta Falcons Nation at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for some, 2 p.m. for others.
That
So,
would be me.
all right. So, just wanted to jump it right on in. I know Mike was in the middle of conversation, didn't realize we were live, but that's fine. Today's episode, we're going to talk about now that we finally watched the film. What's going on, Raymond Elder? How you doing? How you doing? Good afternoon. Now that we've watched a little bit of the film from last night's game, now, even though I know that's probably what Arthur Smith is doing as well, we're going to get Noah that's going to kind of conduct some analysis of that. And of course, the crew here. I'm just here just to say hello. I'm getting off. So have fun with it. What's going on, Alex? What's up, everybody?
Hey,
How you
how's it
doing? So
going?
let's get back to that topic and y'all go ahead and have some fun.
Okay, so I mean, I mentioned this on the before the live. I have NFL Game Pass, so I'm able to see like the condensed replay of everything, and it's gonna be nice for me
mhm.
to kind of see everything that's going on with the defense, and I'm kind of taking a look at this like as we're live, so it's gonna be pretty fun for me at least. So I just kind of wanted to go like a little bit of a play-by-play. I know I'm looking at the
Mhm.
first play from scrimmage. It was like a 15-yard run again with Evans as the back for the Titans. One of the first things that I noticed is that we had TJ Green line up on the right side, which is something that he's not used to. He was originally brought in as a safety and was now given some reps at corner. And
Mhm.
you can kind of tell that he still has the mentality of a safety as he's trying to be the last line of defense. So when the
Okay.
running back was bouncing it to the outside, he was thinking, okay, so I got to prevent the running back from going to the sidelines. And in doing so, he got juked inside and it allowed for another gash. But he also kind of saved like an even deeper run to the outside. So that was kind of the first thing that I noticed there. And then, of course, it didn't even matter because one of the defensive linemen was offsides. So, of course, they declined it because it was a 15-yard run. Then we go on to
Um.
the next play.
Okay.
One of the other plays, the plays that followed that, was another run just to the left. The Titans ran a lot, and I think one of the reasons as to why that is the case is because they're trying to get more they're trying to get more depth, like quality depth at linemen for Derrick Henry, so that
Mhm.
if one of them goes down, the other ones can pick up the other slack. Uh, on this play in particular that I'm looking at, uh, I see Adetokunbo Ogundeji playing on the left side, so like across from the left tackle. And when he was going into like trying to shut off his block, I noticed that he was putting his head down, which is not necessarily a good thing. So he wasn't like quickly able to react to the play that was happening like on his side. And had it been a little bit more alert, he probably would have stopped it for like lesser yards. And instead, it goes for like a gain of 4. Just
Mhm.
some of the again, like what Mad Mike always preaches, the small intricate details of football. So it's like, yeah, like you can see Ogundeji, he's excited about getting the tackle. You just got to be a little bit more alert to the play. The next one was a play action rollout to the right with Woodside.
Mhm.
Just had the 3 different levels of his receivers, with the closest one being the tight end, the furthest one being, I think, was 13 or 15. Okay. Um, the other thing I noticed that, again, Ogundeji was playing on the right side this time, across from the right tackle. He was the one to kind of set the edge for a run play so that they don't have a cutback lane. But in doing so, he got faked from the play action, and that's what allowed him to be a no man's land. Like he wasn't close to the quarterback, he wasn't close to the receiver, he wasn't close to any part of the play. But
Mhm.
I did notice that he was alert to it the next time that happened. So like in the second quarter or something, I saw that they did the same thing, and he was right at the quarterback's throat. So that's a really good thing to know from Ogundeji is that he is a quick learner. Another thing here is that on the tight end, when he was doing the crossing route, Michael Walker, he kind of bit on the play action, and that allowed him to be like a step or two behind the tight end. I know he's a faster linebacker than this, which is why it's kind of odd for me to see him like kind of have to tackle him from behind. Michael Walker made a good play on the second level, covering the 15 for the Titans. He made sure that the check down was already taken care of so that he went deeper, and that's one of the things as a safety, you want to take the deeper option away from the quarterback. So as we continue.
Hey, Noah, do you want to share your screen? I can show you how to do that because I don't know if you're showing it on your computer that you're on now, so people can kind of see what you're talking about.
I'm looking at it on my TV.
Oh, it's on your TV. Okay.
Yeah.
No
I'm pretty sure you guys have had like several problems with like copyright strikes and whatnot. So
well, no, not for NFL Game Pass or anything like that. If you're watching it on there, it's definitely not a problem. It's definitely not a problem. But you can go ahead. But for future, you can use NFL Game Pass and show the plays and everything. That's how we kind of do film breakdown and everything.
Let me because one thing that I do want to reiterate as far as like the defense, you kind of mentioned the defense and cutting things out. Like one thing about Dean Pease defense is something that he likes to do is that he doesn't like to give up big plays. It's like big plays as far as his secondary is concerned. So he'll trade the 4 or 5 and maybe even 10 yard between 5 and 10 yard passes or deep passes, or it's preceded deep passes to kind of give up, to not give up those big plays. So it's like it's not so much of a defense that's designed to completely stop it. He wants to make them earn it. So it's like when you see him giving up a couple yards here and there, like you said with Ogundeji and I forget the other outside linebacker, Jacob Tui. I think Jacob played a few snaps, but he's not one of those guys who like to give up big monster plays. Like Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn would give up 20, 30 plays, 23 yards, like with no issue. So when you talk about like Dean Pease and the Falcons, whether or not like these guys should have did like these guys should have. Let me see if I can bring it up.
And of course, this isn't to say that the defense is going to be perfect in every play. Because, as was mentioned, like they don't want to, like Dean Pease obviously doesn't want to give up the bigger plays. And then on the first drive, I already saw that on another play action play, they gave up 18 on a 2nd and 17. So I was like, that's just typical Falcons defense, It's like we're so used to that.
It is, but again, the bright spot is about he's a third, and this is what we was talking about earlier with Justin Fields. A lot of people got so hyped about him, making a couple of plays, today in today's game. But, these things are going to happen in the NFL. The thing about the NFL is that you don't want to be consistently giving up those plays. You're going to give up a play for 18, but when you're giving up every third down, every second and long, every first and long, first and 15 after a penalty, whatnot, and you're giving up these big plays, there lies the problem. So it's like for me, when I'm looking at the film with, a guy like, Dean Pease, these guys he's not trying to give up these plays consistently. So that's one of the issues. That was one of the things that
I will point out on this, like for saying like how the defense being ran compared to years past, like when we gave up, like, they like to let, under Dan Quinn's regime, they let them dink and dunk and get them like say probably like 7 yards after the catch. I noticed last night, like a lot of times when the receivers caught passes, they really weren't getting a lot of yards after the catch. Like as soon as they caught it, they was getting tackled. Like if they did, they might have gained maybe like 2 or 3 yards at the most. But it wasn't like they caught like a crosser route and then ran another 10 yards. Like once they made the catch, they was going down right there. So like to me, that's an improvement on the Falcons defense alone, that they wasn't giving up a lot of yards after catch. That definitely stood out to me throughout the game yesterday.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely a mentality as a corner that was kind of brand new to this whole secondary. You know, when you saw like the run support, I saw Chris Williamson plenty of times. He just looked for work in the trenches. He was scanning the field, looking for the running back, and he made a play. Like he wasn't distracted by what the wide receiver was doing. And the same goes for the other side of the field too. Whenever it was like Delaric Abrams Jr. or anyone else that was on the other side. So again, I like that. And you know, the other mentality of a corner is like if you allow a catch from the receiver, punish him with your tackle.
Right.
And we saw that happen. We saw that happen quite a number of times. Like you said, there was no yak. Nothing was given up that wasn't necessary. So
I mean, I definitely enjoy seeing that because, like I said, for years we pretty much had to watch that for years, where a lot of our guys was giving up, like anywhere from like 7 to sometimes 15 yards, basically per average on yak. Like that was horrendous to watch for years, and for them to display that, okay, you might have made this catch, but you're going to get tackled right here and now, like that. The fact that it keeps people from actually getting more yardage is a big help. Like you said, now they did give up the 18-yard on 2nd and 17. I get that. I mean, like I said, and that happens. Like
right.
Like I said, we watched it, and then obviously we seen other teams do it. It happens to the best of us. But like for the most part, them tackling once a receiver made the catch, like that to me was like wow, because I'm like, wow, we haven't seen this in years. We need this back on our defense.
I'm just like going through the thing. I'm just skipping the offense. I mean,
offensively, they really didn't give us much to look at. It didn't. It wasn't really. It was an atrocious day all around for the offense. It definitely starts up front. We've been saying that for years. You got to win in the trenches in order for you to win games. And for the fact that our offensive line not only could, had issues blocking, but they also was basically getting, they were having self-inflicted wounds. Like you can't have a positive play and then it get negated because you got called for a holding or clipping or whatever the case may be. Like offensively yesterday, we had a couple of bite spots, but like I said, a lot of things got negated due to the penalty. So you really couldn't really focus on the play like that because it was like, dang, y'all just a holding penalty came here or illegal formation or whatever the case may be. It hurted our chances on offense, and especially people have been mentioning throughout the course of social media how AJ McCarron has been like they felt like he shouldn't be on the team or he definitely is not quarterback 2. I'm looking like you got to understand. It seemed like anytime he tried to get in a slight rhythm, it got killed by a penalty.
Yeah.
You can't. It hurts anybody. If I throw for, like, for example, he threw a first down on one play, I think, to Tajay Sharp, but it was a hold, so they had to redo the down, and which ultimately led to them punting. That hurts your momentum all around, like, and it kills your confidence because you're like, dang, every time I get something positive going, a penalty come about. Like, your trenches has got to be on point in order for you to see success. I really want, for all Falcon fans that's watching this, I really want y'all to understand that it starts up front. If your front is not playing well, the rest of the offense cannot go. Your offensive line is your transmission, but your quarterback is the engine.
Right. And when I noticed that when the Titans were on offense, when the RD line was not getting pushed forward, it was consistently that way from the first quarter to the fourth quarter. Like, no matter who was up from the front on the D line, like, no one was getting pushed back. Like, no one was getting bullied. And I think that Mike mentioned that last time. Like,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I just got to share the tail of that because that was beautiful to watch.
We were talking about it's funny that you said that.
It was so beautiful to watch. It was so beautiful to watch that
That's it.
To see our defensive line not really like it was amazing to see our front not get pushed all across the line of scrimmage. Like I can give an example of that on when we played against the Chiefs last year on a 4th and 1. They called a dive play and they ran up the gut. Like they pushed Tyler Davidson right out the way and got the first down. But watching like they literally held to the point of attack, and I'm just looking like, wow, this is this our Falcons? Is this the future of the Falcons defense? Like they not getting pushed off the line of scrimmage. And mindful, you gotta look at it. These guys still are not really like real big up front. So for them to be able to actually hold their own, man, that was very impressive. Very impressive.
Yeah, I mean, I think someone brought it up in the morning live stream. It's like Michael Walker was going up against guards and beating them. Like,
Yeah.
that is impressive. Like he has like pass rush experience back in college, and so it's nice to see him still use that in his reservoir. But I mean, one of the other points, and again, shed a tear. But in the red zone after that massive punt return.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That drive ended in a field goal. That started at the 14-yard line.
Yes, sir.
When was the last time we've ever seen that? We just completely killed the momentum of that team.
Killed it
immediately. It was so beautiful to watch. I'm just a little emotional right now.
Absolutely. And that's
here's the kicker part of that. Here's the kicker part about that, because on a 3rd and 2, our defense actually stopped the run.
Yeah.
And forced them to kick the field goal. And it was just like, wow.
It was at least 3 times during the game where I saw the defense step up in big opportunities. Like one thing that I've always said, with the Atlanta Falcons is not that whether or not Matt Ryan has, let's just be honest. When we talk about comeback wins, I don't think anybody in the history of the game has had more comeback wins than Matt Ryan. More opportunities. He's won.
It should be by landslide by now, but we won't get into that.
It's not even because he's had to bring us back from. We're talking about from his rookie season. He's been doing this, but when you see him get the lead, his defense always get. That's been the story of his career. This is the reason why we even lost the Super Bowl, because he gets a lead. Matt Ryan gives us a lead, and he ultimately will tie the game. The team will tie the game, and Matt Ryan gives him field goal, or he'll give us, he'll tie the game and get a field goal, or we're a couple of points ahead, and the defense gives it right back. So this is what we're talking about, the Dean Pease effect, the Arthur Smith effect. These things happen, the small intricate details of football. So we can sit up here and talk about a guy running the ball for 50 yards. We can talk about, the offensive line not playing well, but they were in these are the things defensively that helps you win games. When we're talking about winning games, we don't need Matt Ryan or whomever who's at the helm to throw for 300 yards or 400 yards in the game, and the defense give up 500. You got to be able to get those and those key moments.
It's like it's what kills us when it's like a 3rd and 7. They throw a check down, and then the wide receiver gets 8, or the running back comes out of the backfield and gets like 8 or 9. It's like, man, that just kills you. Like no matter what you do, it's like you got the offense to 3rd down situations, which in itself is kind of a win. All right, considering how atrocious our defense was last year, like just getting to 3rd down was just good enough sometimes, and then they still converted it.
Yeah,
or they still had a penalty, like. In the second quarter, it was like a 3rd and 2, and TJ Green, again, a safety that's trying to play corner, I think for the first time, and he held on to the smaller receiver. And it's like, you can't do that. And then that drive ended up with a touchdown. That could have just been stopped with another field goal. And then it happened again later on in the 4th quarter. It was just a field goal attempt, right? Like, what could go wrong? Oh, and then Marcus Murphy just has to run into the kicker and then give him like a 15-yard boost, and then that score, and then that ends in a score. It's like, you think about it, this could have been like a 15-3 score.
Yeah.
And what was the last time like our defense would have allowed just 5 field goals and that was it? Like in an alternate universe, that could have been the case.
You know
here.
what? That's something. That's really something to think. That's really something to think about.
You know, it's like there's 8 extra points that they got just from our mistakes.
I like really that's and like I said, with a quarterback like Matt Ryan, you give him the ball 5 extra times, he's going to put up 4 touchdowns on you. I promise you, he's going to put up 4 touchdowns on you, and that's all you need from Matt Ryan. Just give him extra opportunities to get the ball, and he's like Matt Ryan is one of those quarterbacks where you need all you need for him is just to hold on and not make mistakes. Matt Ryan is not going to make mistakes. He's not going to make those mistakes where he's going to throw the ball in spots where do things with the ball that he shouldn't do. He's going to take care of the ball and he's going to slowly and methodically, run get the ball downfield, and he's going to run the clock. That's how you win championships. Run the clock. You can run the clock in several ways, not just a running game, but you got to keep that clock running, turning, and that's what Matt Ryan is doing.
Let me point out something, because you said something about, you mentioned about giving him more opportunities. Another thing I pointed out, I noticed about just people don't understand how much having a defensive coordinator like Dean Pease on playing, coaching our defense right now. Like I watched our corners be aggressive. It's been years since I seen our cornerbacks actually look like they was aggressive. Like they, like I said, for every catch, it was a tough catch. In most cases, those guys, they had to concentrate and bring them in. I've seen where some of the, at times like guys were trying to jump routes. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, Williamson, they came up with a pick. If he would have turned his head around on the TD pass that was caught over him, he possibly would have came up with a pass breakup or interception on that play. I've seen where even Jalen Hawkins, I'll tell you about it. I'm so used to Falcon defenders getting beat on out routes. The fact that Jalen Hawkins was he overran the route. He ran the route past the intended receiver, and they caught an interception off that alone was like a big wow. Because it was we have not seen that. Guys is just usually sitting flat-footed, waiting for the receiver to get to them. These guys was engaging. They was on their hips the whole night, and I was I'm enjoying that so much. Seeing that these guys are being so much aggressive. It was like I said, defensively, it was very beautiful to watch. Yeah, people might look at it when the score was 23-3. I was but for what I saw, listen. You get the offense together. If that offense just be, just a tad bit formidable, that score don't be what it is, because it gives your defense enough rest to continue to, do what they do best. Like I said, those guys was getting put in bad positions. Some of that stuff was self-inflicting, but for the most part, the defense held up pretty well. And like I said, just watching the secondary be really aggressive in coverage. I even saw they even had Richie Grant on a pass coverage by himself. And like I said, the guy caught it over him. But the fact that he was there to make the play, I couldn't ask for nothing better. You doing your job for the most part. Yeah, he caught it, but you making sure he don't go nowhere. You at the joint of his hip. You doing what you're supposed to do, and you couldn't ask for nothing better from those guys.
Right.
So, what as far as the film is concerned, what exactly for you? We're gonna talk about the secondary. What are the guys that really stood out to you watching the film? And let's just say for me personally, from what I saw, one thing that I think that comes with experience, I thought they was incredibly disciplined. They played a lot more physical. In the press, I thought they pressed the wide receivers, Tennessee wide receivers, and I see why they went out and got Julio Jones. They wide receivers can't get crap.
And not only that, but a lot of those guys are smaller.
Yeah.
And they need a Julio. They need a Julio. They need a Julio with Tajay Sharp, because them guys could not get off the line of scrimmage like that.
It was embarrassing. So like that's the thing that stood out to me. That I don't know if it was their receivers being smaller or our corners being extremely physical. And we're going to see as the preseason and the season goes where exactly is the truth. And that's why I say you can't get that with just one particular, one game. So what stood out to you as far as like the secondary? What were you watching the film?
So, like I said, I couldn't like get everything. I did notice that, Richard Grant, Dwayne Johnson Jr., who I like to call the Pebble,
Right.
they were playing really far back. Like before the snap, they were playing like 25 yards from the line of scrimmage. I was like, what are you doing? Like, and then I realized, okay, like he is playing the center field position. And in one of my articles that I wrote, I compared him to Earl Thomas. And one of the reasons why he was nicknamed the Roadrunner is because when he would recognize those runs, he would zip back to the front and just make a play on the running back like 4 yards, But I kind of saw that from Richie Grant, except he would get there at like 8 yards away. So when you're from the deep center of the field, you got to close that gap once you recognize it's a run. But then there was also the threat because the Titans run a lot of play action too. So it's like that's another thing that you have to watch out for. So just making sure that you're kind of getting yourself in a position where you can still win no matter what the situation is on the offense. So I'd like to see a little bit more run support from him, but I know that he can make a tackle, and I know that he can quickly make a block or get off of a block, even from a tight end. I've seen that a couple times too.
So stepping back, like honestly, I and this is why I said earlier about Dean Pease, he doesn't like to give up those huge chunk plays, and this is like you see, he loves to mix up his coverages. You never get the same thing game to game. He's always going to come with a different. It may be the same look, but you're never going to get the same looks from game to game. That's what made him special. And that's what makes him, one of the best defensive coordinators in the game today, is because he doesn't give you the same looks over and over again, and he doesn't like giving up these big plays. And that's why you just said it yourself. These guys like 25 yards away from the line of scrimmage.
They're not getting them. They're not going to have a chance to get beat when they're playing that far back.
Right. He doesn't want to give up that. And he's so aggressive. He's so aggressive at the line of scrimmage. And we kind of saw that. And LT and I were talking about this earlier today. What he likes to do is he likes to use, and God, I really just got an image in my head of Deion Jones really like he playing super aggressive at the line of scrimmage, and all of a sudden you see him. You remember how the old the Colts under Tony Dungy, how they would line up and you would see who was the middle linebacker. I forget who was the middle linebacker, but
Gary
you would see Brackett.
Which one?
Brackett. I think that's
when Peyton was there.
Yeah.
It was either Brackett or Cato June.
And those guys would be they would be so close to the line, and all of a sudden you see them sprint back all the way, and they play like the center position. So you see Bob Sanders coming up, and then Gary Brackett and Cato June going back and filling that void. This is exactly how he's going to use Fourier and Deion, because not only can they blitz, but he can send these guys in different areas and using the zone blitz. And the sack where we got Jalen Hawkins when he came up the middle, that was almost exactly how I pictured him using these linebackers. And it's like I said, I think it's going to be special, man. I think we're going to see some really unique and special things.
That sack you mentioned, that to me was like Dick LeBeau-esque in a sense. Because, showing, you look like you fit to sit in the house, and then, the people that you would expect to actually be rushing, they dropped in the coverage, and you looking like, okay, well, they dropped in the coverage. that you think it's gonna be a normal man front, but don't realize like it's a delayed blitzer on its way, and you didn't even account for that person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes me think of the Super Bowl 43, the James Harrison interception. He was playing
What
that exact
I
same role.
told you, what I told you today, Mike. What I told you today. What did I tell you? The same thing you just said. I told you on the phone earlier. Like that's exactly what that was. Like it's like because James Harrison that year was so used to him being the pass rusher because he won defensive player of the year that year. He was so people used to him being the run stuff for the pass rusher. They weren't thinking about him in coverage, and at the right time, Dick LeBeau called the play where he dropped James Harrison in coverage, and Kurt Warner didn't even realize it, and he threw the pick right to him.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean,
I
know for a fact that I would trust any of our linebackers in coverage over James Harrison. I can't trust him in the pass rush though. He was a monster. Like he still is a monster. Like if you look at his workout tapes, I don't know how he does it.
That dude is scary, man. That dude is.
No, that man on a dip rack with 2 wheels chained to him. I don't want no problem. I don't want it. But I will say this: a guy that kind of kept flashing across my screen yesterday, Marlon Davidson. For him to be coming in weighing at 279, he definitely held his own against that line of scrimmage. As you pointed out, how they like the front one getting pushed around, he definitely wouldn't get pushed around. He even helped create rushes on some pass plays or whatnot like that. That young man could really possibly be a good rotational piece for us if he don't earn his way being a starter beside Grady Jarrett. But I definitely see him getting a lot of rotational time, and he could be very formidable in certain in a nickel formation and base defense because like I said, he definitely held his own at that line of scrimmage yesterday. Like I said, on some of the run plays, like the linebackers was able to make the play because Davidson was holding his own in the middle, where he wasn't getting pushed to them and they was getting blocked. He was holding them up, and you can see Michael Walker and them boys coming down and make plays. And I don't know how to pronounce number 92 name. I'm just start calling him Goku cousin. so if y'all if you hear me say Goku cousin, that's who I'm talking to.
Out of the Kumbo, Ogundeji. All right, I finally learned how to say it. So no, what
Ogundeji?
What
Ogundeji? That's how you pronounce it, Ogundeji.
Yeah, Ogundeji.
Okay. Oh, the Ogundeji, like that man there, like how you born like you said, you went to Game Pass. I did too, because like you said, we all have it. So I do a lot of film breakdowns, but when you were pulling out the play, I noticed that too on that play action play where he got fate and whatnot. But then, like you said, later on in the game, they ran the same play, but he stayed home. He didn't. He learned from that, and I think that's another big thing. That's another big thing for Dean Pease's defense. His guys actually learn from their mistakes on the fly. Versus with Dan Quinn, those guys kept making the same exact mistakes, play in and play out. Like he learned, like, okay, I got food this time. The next time, I didn't get food. So you know what I'm saying? Like that's a plus. That's a big plus on our defensive side.
So what was a defensive lineman that stood out to you? For me personally, I just have to say Marlon Davidson. I don't know how many times I really got flashes of Grady Jarrett Jr. And like, to be honest, he's honestly Grady Jarrett Jr. And I never thought I'd say that about any player, because I think he's the second best defensive tackle in the league next to Aaron Donald. No disrespect to Mr. I'm always hurt in Philadelphia, Fletcher Cox. Grady is that man. Grady is that. I
was also kind of thinking like Chris Jones from Kansas City.
Chris Jones, and look, no disrespect to Chris Jones, but Chris Jones is not Grady Jarrett. Come on, let's be honest. He's not Grady Jarrett, and he played in a division with Oakland, and those guys and Denver. We know those guys have problems up front, so he's going to get a lot of pressures just being in that division. That division has a lot of issues as far as the offensive line is concerned. They have the best offensive line there.
I would also say Grady Jarrett probably the best because like you got, and this is why because Grady still can make plays even though he's pretty much getting double the triple team, and he's the guy they game plan for on that line on that front. So like he's still able to make plays. So now with the DNP's defensive scheme where he could get more one-on-one matchups, you can start really seeing Grady display his skill set that he can actually be that his numbers can equate the contract that he got, and he could be looking like you said, somewhat of an Aaron Donald where he could get more than 10 sacks in the season or whatnot. But with DNP's defense though, it's not gonna be like that because I think DNP's defense is basically set up for everybody to get a piece of the pie. So it's not just like Grady Jarrett getting 10, 15 sacks. If he get it, that's cool, but it's more so, okay, Grady might lead the team in sacks with like 8 or 9. Fowler could get anywhere from like 5 to 6. Olakun and Deion Jones could get 4 or 5 apiece. Ogundeji, he could get 3 if he become a rotational piece. Marlon Davis could get 3. You know what I'm saying? Like even your secondary gonna get like 2, 3, 1 or 2 sacks at the course of the year. Those guys are like the defense is set up for everybody to get a piece. It's not just gonna be one person. That's gonna really help the defense more than anything because you have to account for everybody on that field. You can't just think, well, they just gonna rush with the front 7 and that's gonna be it. No, you're gonna see some safeties, you're gonna see the corners, you're gonna see everybody. So you can't just be thinking like, well, they gonna bring this 7-man front, this, that, and third. Well, you thinking that it's going to be 3 down linemen and 4 linebackers come on the blitz, not realizing that one of the linemen actually went out in coverage and they brought the safety in his place. And you thinking, well, they go out read. Yeah, you just threw straight to the lineman. That was right there.
So what's that guy?
Yeah, I saw that someone mentioned in the chat earlier. It's like because Mike, you asked about like the defensive lineman. I was looking forward to Taquan Graham and seeing if he was gonna really shine. And I noticed a couple of times where he was opportunistic. I think back to that. I can't remember if it was a 3rd and 1 or a 4th and 1, but it happened in like the 3rd quarter around the end of it. I think with Matt Barkley, he like fumbled the snap. And then he had to hurry up and give it back over to the running back. But, if you're an offensive lineman, if you're a defensive lineman, you aren't in control of that. It's like you don't know that, so you still have to play to the whistle, right? So he still quickly got off the block and made the tackle at the line of scrimmage, and that was like amazing.
And you know what? I'm glad you said that because I kept seeing a guy with I didn't know who it was. I thought it was Ogundeji, but one thing I saw from Taquan Graham is that he was constantly. And you look at his film in college, and this is one thing that I noticed, that he's very good at splitting between the tackles and guards. And he was in the backfield constantly in last night's game. I just kept seeing him and Marlon Davis in the backfield. And he's, like I said, he's very good at splitting the guard and tackles. Man, good gracious. I think he's the perfect 3-4 end. We got so many guys like Grady Jarrett, Marlon Davis, Taquan Graham. Even saw John Kaminsky. I think he kind of went off with a concussion issue. Don't know. He hasn't been diagnosed with a concussion, but they said it was a head injury, so it could be anything. But those guys were constantly getting in between those guard and tackles. So this right here, you're going to have a lot of edge. Like what I saw from just this game alone, they're going to have a lot of outside pressure. You're going to see a lot of guys like, Ayo, Deion Jones, Foye Olakun, Dante Fowler. I really think Dante Fowler, when he comes back, he's going to have a high sack number because the defensive ends / defensive tackles in the 34, these guys are going to press the issue between the guards and tackle. That 4-eye position. And if you don't understand 4-eye position, it's between right over the tackle or sometimes kind of 3-4-ish. It's kind of 3 techish and 4. The 4 is like right over the tackle, right over the tackle. So you can kind of split. You can either go inside or outside. It's kind of what 3-4 defensive ends they play. So you can go inside or outside, and that's what Grady Jarrett and Marlon Davis and Taquan Graham. And it's going to leave the outside wide open for the speedsters, the Dante Fowlers, the Foye Oluokun, are like these guys to get after it and use their athleticism. And then when you got, these athletic freaks like Justin Fields, and right now we see that Felipe is a hell of an athlete. And we got a couple of guys. What's the
Taysom Hill, Sam Darnold, because like a lot of people don't know, like Donald is a decent athlete, whether they want to believe it or not. Like I watched that man really run. That man really ran for like a 40 or 50-yard TD run like last season. So you can't really sleep on his athleticism. Yeah, so you can't sleep on his athleticism. So you got to look at the people that you want to be playing this year and seeing that they're like those athletes. Like at the end of the day, despite how we feel about that man accuracy, but Cam is still an athlete. Tua Tagovailoa, he's an athlete. These are the people that you're gonna be seeing this upcoming season. So you have to be prepared. Dak Prescott, another athlete. Daniel Jones, another athlete. Like what I'm saying. Josh Allen. These are the QBs we will be seeing this year. These are the quarterbacks we will be seeing this year. So you need those type of guys on our defense to do what Mike's saying they're doing, because they're very much going to be needed.
Yeah. Mike, I don't want to disagree with the outside pressure, but along with what the commentators were saying earlier, we talked about the staple of the DMP's defense, and that was bringing pressure up the middle. So I expect to see a lot of like A-gap blitzes and things like that, because every quarterback hates pressure up the middle, right? Like Brady hates it. Breeze hated it when he was playing on the Saints. Like Matt hates it. Like every quarterback that is more of a pocket passer, they're going to hate that.
Well, let me ask you a question. What's the quickest way from point A to point B?
Just straight through.
Straight through.
That's all you need to say right now.
I want to clarify something. As far as the techniques, okay? The 5 tech is the outside shoulder of the tackle. The 4i is right over the tackle. There's a difference. The 3 is inside the guard, outside shoulder of the guard. So we talk about, the 1 tech, and 1 tech is, between the guard and the tackle, and the 0 is actually over. So the 4i is directly over the tackle. And this is why a lot of tackles don't like a Grady Jarrett, because he's 300 pounds. He's quick as hell. Chris Jones, they're 300 pounds. They're quick as hell, and they line it right over the tackle. So you're forced to either keep the running back in to help with that guy, or you're forced to keep your tight end like a Travis Kelce. So if you got a guy that's why Grady Jarrett and the Falcons gave them so much hell, because they was forced to kind of keep Kelce in, because Grady Jarrett was lined over their tackle, and they was sending and it allowed Debo and Foye to just run free and do what they want to do. That is something no offense wants to deal with. Like a Michael Strahan, a Michael Strahan. What's another a big defensive
Jason
tackle?
Taylor.
Jason Taylor. These guys are big. So when you line them over the tackles, like these guys are equally as strong as them. So you got these guys just as strong, but they're quicker. That creates hell, and that's why I say you're going to have a lot of outside pressure, because you're forced to deal with that body. You can't pass a Grady Jarrett on to a tight end, because he gonna eat his ass alive. You know what I'm saying? He gonna eat him alive. So guess what? Deion Jones, and we're gonna see a lot of A-gap blitzes, but those A-gap blitzes are designed to help get those one-on-ones with a Grady Jarrett and Marlon Davis.
Hey, 48, really, I'm going through his game. This man really flashed across the screen. Like, he really was making plays in the backfield. But I wasn't even paying attention to him like that. I was so hung up looking at the fronts. But like this man really was out here making plays like that. Like he read and reacted. Like I like that from him. Like for that young man. Like if I'm seeing that for my backups, I can imagine what my starter's gonna look like.
All right.
I want to get this question for you guys right here. I want to get this. What do you guys, before you kind of get to your question, Noah, what do you think about Avery taking Kendall Sheffield's position? What do you think about that?
I thought he played good. I mean, on the two back-to-back deep passes, I mean, that was talked about earlier, he played that coverage really well. Avery is he's a small dog, but that's not going to take the the fight out of him. You know, I kind of compared him to like, I wouldn't say Rondé Barber just yet, but you can have that kind of mentality while not having that type of talent yet.
Right.
You know? So it's like if you imagine like Rondé Barber playing in the slot, then that's what I can see Avery Williams doing, because he's not a big guy, you know, so he's got to like play above a lot of these wide receivers. And slot receivers, they come in all shapes and sizes, so you really have to like be prepared for that. And I think that's why Sheffield was kind of there too, because he's got a little bit more length to him and has like the equal amount of speed. But I know that when I was watching his tape over at was it Boise State, like he was very aggressive, even though that sometimes he was playing off like 10 yards away from the wide receiver. He wasn't giving up anything. So I do like that. I think, you know, when he was playing at Boise State, he had a lot of reps at outside corner, and I think that he's going to have to eventually move into the slot. And I think he's going to do that well. Like, he showed good run support, you know, and that's crucial for a slot position because you're a lot closer to the like the center of the field. And
I mean, Avery had you know, Avery did look well, and I did check out some of his Boise State tape, but not too much because I, like as Mike know, I work a lot. But I will say this about Sheffield though. I don't want to really give up on that man quite yet.
Oh no,
I know it's kind of easy because, you know, some of the things that we kind of displayed, what we saw recently. But like I said, like a lot of times, like a lot of these guys was really put in bad positions last year. Like Sheffield is known for his athleticism. The boy is a track star. You know, he got speed. You got to let him run in man coverage. Having him in zone just doesn't make sense. Having him play zone coverage when this man got super speed, he pretty much could keep up with anybody in the league. So you let him do that. So I feel like in a Dean P scheme, he would actually be more successful due to the fact that he would have an opportunity to actually be able to like show that his athleticism is on display. Whether, you know, like if you could create if your front could create pressure, and in the midst of your front creating pressure, and in the midst of your front creating pressure, you could like they could lead to a bad throw. And I'm here to tell you, if it leads to a bad throw and you let Kendall Sheffield catch an interception, and there's not a person that's within, you know, about 5 feet of him, yeah, you can kiss it all goodbye. Because once he hit open field, there's nothing you're gonna do but just watch his feet.
Right. I think that Sheffield is definitely going to be more athletic over Williams, but that's not to say that Williams can't be more instinctive. And that's why I think he would also be like a good substitute package if they ever want to go in zone coverage too. Because, you know, like our front, like I tallied like the time of that it took for our sacks to happen, and I think all of them happened in less than 3 seconds. So as a corner, all you need to do is just worry about your guy for 3 seconds. Yeah. And Dean Pease and his process will get the job done.
I know. You know who would have definitely enjoyed having to be able to cover somebody for a doggone 3 seconds.
I know what
you laugh at. Who I'm gonna say?
Look, I'm gonna just say this. Isaiah Oliver is if
It,
anybody
it wasn't even Oliver. It wasn't even Oliver. I was gonna say Desmond. I was gonna say Desmond Trufant because like that man whole career in Atlanta, that man basically had to cover people for interval for 5 to 8 seconds.
Yo, that man brought up Desmond Trufant. Look,
I'm just saying. Let's be honest here. Let's be honest with ourselves. If look how long Desmond Trufant you have to cover people. That means he'd be out there and cover for like 5 to 8 seconds. Like imagine him having like if people try to say that he was trash, but imagine if Trufant would have had a front that actually put pressure on the QB in 3 seconds. Like that man, like you don't tell him what he like look like. But when you out there cover folks for 8 seconds, man, like come on, you gonna give up something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times on the offense is in like they're in improv mode, and as a corner or anyone else in the secondary, it's really tough to follow a wide receiver because now they're not going by a script, they're not going by a route, they're just going by the feel of the quarterback and their own chemistry, and you have to disrupt that. But then sometimes you end up with situations where it's like Aaron Rodgers going deep to Devontae Adams. It's like I don't care who you are at a corner. Like, you're not going to disrupt that chemistry. You couldn't disrupt it earlier with Jordy Nelson. You couldn't disrupt it with Greg Jennings. And you weren't going to disrupt it with Donald Driver from before. So it's having that chemistry to know that when the play breaks down, the quarterback has to go out and scramble, make a play, just read this field from a different angle. It's tough, you know? And I really feel bad for these guys because not everyone, like very few corners in the NFL history can do that well. and consistently
over 4 or 5 seconds. That's dang near impossible when guys are running a 4.2. So let's get to this question. What do you think about Pitts and training camp so far? I'll just say this short and sweet. I'm not worried about Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts is I think he gets it, and there's one thing when you look at Arthur Smith and what he's pretty much stated earlier is that he's not concerned about Kyle Pitts and the offense. He understands the offense, and this is why he didn't play in the first preseason game. So, I'm gonna say this. Y'all better watch out because this man understands the offense. He's a rookie, and you getting that from your coach that he understands it and he gets it. That's a problem for y'all. The dude is already he run a 4.4 and he is 6'6". Come on, bro. How you gonna stop
He has the same 40 time as Calvin Ridley.
That's crazy, bro.
Whoa. I thought he was slower than Ridley.
No, they both ran a 4.44.
Oh, no. Yep. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yep.
This dude is taller than Darren Waller, has a longer wingspan than Calvin Johnson, and is as fast as Calvin Ridley. The only thing that I want to see him do is work on his run blocking skills. Just chip off the line, just help out the defensive line ends, or because I've seen like tweets and other quotes from like Cameron Jordan and whatever. It's like, oh hey, you're a little too lanky there. I was like, I mean, we've seen successful people like that before, like. Greg Olsen always kind of looked lanky to me too, but he was.
I mean, I ain't nobody worried about Cameron Jordan. Like he thought he said Caleb McGarry was lunch meat when we drafted him. The first time they matched up against each other, he got punished. Though I don't want to hit up by no Cam Jordan, but what I will say this though, I will bring this up though. Like the fact that this man runs the same 40 time as a Calvin Ridley, has a longer wingspan than Megatron, has the height of a shooting guard in the NBA. How you game playing against that in the red zone?
Mm-hmm.
Just throw it up, like
that's my question.
One of the things that Matt Ryan is often criticized for is his performance in the red zone. And I get that, right? But in the red zone, it comes down to believing in your guys.
Yeah, that's it.
When you have Kyle Pitts on your team, it's the easiest decision to possibly make, like when you have that confidence and you're rookie and you're like 9-year veteran, like it doesn't matter. Like if you have confidence in him, you're going to throw it to him no matter what it looks like on the defensive side. That's one of the reasons as to why Peyton Manning, I think he had like so many like 1 yard passing touchdowns because he trusted his receivers every single time. You know, and that's something that was kind of missing. You know, like Julio, he wasn't like always present at the goal line. You know, they always wanted to switch it up, like Dirk Cutter and see if I season before then. Like they wanted to make it a run heavy package, and then when that didn't work, they'd go like 5 wide on the line. I was like, come on, that doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't.
Real fast. Great discussion. Shout out to Matt Mike and the panel. LT dropping gems. That's I don't know what that. I just say
he's saying it's a SYL legend, as in Sylvania. That's where I'm from.
Oh, okay. Oh, so he got fans now. Mr. Papa.
Relax.
What's up? We appreciate you supporting us, man. We really appreciate that. Every donation that you do, guys.
It's funny because I'm trying to figure out if that's actually my cousin.
he had to throw that one in there. He had to throw that one in there, man. But yeah, let's get let's go to Ghost Peppers. This question for you guys. From what I saw of Andrews, we may as well just start Dahlman on left guard and let him take his lumps early. I don't necessarily agree because we still didn't see that. Like let's just calm down. Let's calm down. We didn't see Caleb McGarry. We didn't see Chris Lindstrom. We didn't see Jake Matthews. We didn't see any of those guys. We didn't see Matt Hennessy. That's a guy exactly. And those are 4 starters. Matt Ryan is not going to allow a defensive player to take advantage of his offensive line. He's not going to allow that. He's going to make the necessary adjustments. He's going to check to a run play if the pass play, or he's going to get the ball out quick so his tackle or his guard doesn't continuously get beat up. He's not going to allow that. So I understand that these guys struggle in preseason, but we don't win championships in preseason. I'm just here to tell you.
But if anybody paid attention, what's the one thing we always begged about the faculty coaching staff since Matt Ryan being here, which is halftime adjustments. And I've seen where just yesterday, right, during the game where like, okay, certain stuff wasn't working, Arthur Smith was trying to switch it up. You know what I'm saying? Like that alone is a win in my opinion because we never had nobody that actually did halftime adjustments. Mm-hmm. He actually took the time out there just during the game to see, okay, if these plays not working, we're going to go to this set of plays. And if those set of plays not working, then we're going to that set of plays. We've been asking for this type of stuff for the longest, and we finally are getting it. That's the beauty of it all. We are finally getting what we've been asking for. Have a competent play calling, competent, defensive coordinator, making halftime adjustments. We've been asking for all these things because I know people might focus on the quarterback, but it's more so for the team purposes. You need the success rate from the team. If everybody is hitting on all cylinders at the right time, especially in January, you can get you a championship at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. But everybody got to be in sync.
Yeah, and an offensive line is crucial for that too. Like you want to be able to form a pocket for your quarterback. I think that when I was looking at Drew Dahlman, he's playing at center, because he played that at Stanford. Uh-huh. He's got the build of a center. He's only like 6'3", 295. And that, look, I think a lot of times he was classified as an undersized center. And I hate that because there was so many centers in the league that are have less weight than him. That have how Hall of Fame careers.
He's not a big center. He's not big at all.
But he doesn't have to be.
300.
Jason Kelsey didn't have to be.
What about
the Cruz from the Bears didn't have to be.
What's the center for the Patriots?
And the Panthers didn't have to be.
What's the center for the Patriots? He played at Georgia. I mean, you probably don't know.
Andrews?
David Andrews. Andrews not a big center.
No. I mean, Rodney Hudson, I think he at one point played at like 299, and he's still like the best center in the league too. I mean, so you know, and you mentioned
Alex Mack wasn't even a big center to me.
Yeah, I mean, he was average sized.
Yeah, average size. Yeah,
but like he's not gonna blow anyone away, you know. Like, oh man, who's a? I was like Ryan Kelly maybe for the Colts. I think he's like what 6'4", 6'5". It's pretty tall for center. But I mean, like, and someone mentioned it too. It's like Marlon Davidson. I think his playing weight was like 279. He did not look like that. And it's all about technique when you're not the biggest on the field.
Yeah.
And you know, when you have that technique, like you have that leverage, you have that good arm placement, you have that good like hip balance. You have to use that to your advantage on run and run support, on pass and pass rushing, because you can have these big old behemoths of people on the line, and that won't matter because they're not like technically sound. You know, when we went to the Super Bowl in 2016, we had the lightest offensive line in the league.
Yeah.
It did not matter that they were not the big physical maulers. They were the technical maulers because that was what the zone scheme allowed. They didn't have to be like Orlando Pace, like all across the board. But
I do miss Harvey Dahl though. I'm not gonna lie to you on that.
Oh yeah, I mean him, Justin Blalock,
and Tyson Clabo. I like the unnecessary stuff Harvey Dahl used to be doing. Like before the whistle blows, he used to be out there just be pushing people for no reason. Like that extra chip just for the heck of it. Like that's what I miss. I used to love watching Harvey Dahl doing that.
I call it bully ball. That's that. And let's get into Jeremy Mayfield, Jalen Mayfield, Jeremy Mayfield. I don't know why I say it, but Mayfield. Again, we're talking about going against their second stream, and this is something me and LT we talking about earlier today also.
I'm glad. Let me stop you real quick because I want everybody that's listening right now. I want y'all to know that Tennessee was legit playing like a couple of these starters on defense yesterday. Like one guy, I know for a fact, one guy on a depth chart on the Tennessee Titans defensive depth chart is a certified starter.
Was that a Weaver?
It's Rashawn. It's Rashawn. It might have. Yeah, Rashawn Evans. Yeah, he's on their depth chart. He's a certified starter on their depth chart, and he played yesterday.
I mean, the Falcons, they had 21 passing attempts. Like that's not a good sample size if you're an offensive lineman. And some of those people and some of those plays were screens, some of those were like play action rollouts. But when it came to like the straight up drop back, I thought Jalen Mayfield did fine. He didn't blow me away. Sometimes he would level up a sack, but that was just because he wasn't used to the speed of the game. And if he kind of utilizes that a little bit more, then he's going to be a little bit more prepared. Now, I saw a couple people on Twitter saying like, "Oh, hey, he played Caleb McGarry back into the starting spot." I was like, "That's not fair." It's not fair to say that when you know.
How you know Caleb McGarry lost the spot? That's my question.
Right. Like even if that's the case, like he can't play right now. So, I mean, when you got to work with,
I'm sorry.
Okay, like when you got to work with 7 passes completed in total of the game, that's not a good sample size. And like, do you realize that John Rainey had the most receptions with 2?
Wow.
My thing is this when I add to that, because see, they think about Mayfield, like the people that don't understand, Mayfield is basically the jack of all trade lineman for us. The boy can literally play all 5 slots. So him getting thrown at right tackle when he's usually, look at it, Mayfield usually is a guard. So you threw him at right tackle in his first NFL experience. Like he's all out of his element.
He's like all out of his element. Like that's a guard.
Yeah, that's a guard. Like the man, like I said, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with it. Like I said, I can't really get into his play. I didn't think it was too bad. Like you said, with the sample size that we was given, be that as a whole, the offensive line unit was bad. So that don't I can't really give you a fair estimate of this man. What I can say is, will he improve? I fully believe so. But he has a lot of things kind of against him, like I said, because he's learning so much. Like I said, he got to learn. He's learning how to play 5 slots at the NFL level, and then, like I said, his natural position is a guard position. But yet, your first taste of NFL action, you are literally playing tackle. That's way out your element.
Well, I mean, he did play right tackle mostly at Michigan.
Yeah, he played right tackle.
He said that he could move to guard in order to potentially get a starting spot.
Yeah. The thing with Michigan, they're pretty much of a run first type of offense. So it's like right tackle and a run first, they're going to be protected with a tight end most of the time. And the Falcons didn't have a lot of tight ends, and I think he did that. That was purposely done by Arthur Smith to kind of let him get his lumps. Like, one thing that you need, you can't babysit your tackles. You got to let them get out and take their lumps. I think that's exactly, we did that with Jake Matthews early in his career. We just threw him into a fire. Sam Baker, Ryan Schrader. We just threw those guys out there. If they weren't playing well, like, you're just gonna find out some way to get through it early in their career. But like, once you find out what his weaknesses are, this is where you can kind of put formations together to kind of, like, this is what Green Bay does all the time. This is why they can continuously build these offensive linemen with just third round picks, because they're taking the time out to, kind of figure out what their weaknesses are. So, like, even though they're getting beat, this is what you need to see from a coaching standpoint, what he can and cannot do. How the hell are you going to improve if you don't know where to move? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's common sense thing. But again, a lot of fans don't think that. You think the guy just right off the bat is supposed to come in and win a job. But let's go to this next question, and we're kind of closing for the most part. Kind of go into some some other stuff. But who do you guys think? And this is, I know LT gonna feel some type of way about it. Who do you think gonna win the quarterback, the backup quarterback job?
Let's start with me.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
He has no idea.
when my first answer is a sigh, that's usually not a good tell. All right, let's just pray that Matt Ryan continues to be as durable as he has been.
We're not doing this. We're not doing this.
All right. I mean, if we take a look, A.J. McCarron had 5 completed passes. Felipe Franks had 2 out of 9 attempts. A.J. McCarron completed less than half. He had 36 yards. Like I said, I don't think that they were really trying to show off the quarterback abilities just yet. Mm-hmm. I think that might be displayed a little bit more for like against Miami on the joint practices in the second week. Mm-hmm. I think they were really trying to get used to the line that they have right there. Like we're talking about the line a lot, and that's kind of what we were able to see mostly. Like, so for the run game and passing game, like the run game was going to help out a quarterback no matter who you are, right? And to see that Felipe Franks led the team in not the carries, but he was third in carries, and led the team in rushing with 76 thanks to that 52-yarder. It's one thing to have like the flashy plays, but it's another thing to capitalize off of the momentum of that. Like, so in that drive, it was a 3rd and 10. Felipe Franks, he evaded an opportunity where normal quarterbacks would slide, and he kept running. And obviously, like, it was a great moment, but we didn't score that drive. Like,
right.
Like, that's the thing that people need to remember. It's like, yeah, Koo missed the field goal attempt, but come on, if you have that type of energy with the crowd behind you, you got to get that ball in the end zone. and it wasn't made possible for whatever reason. Why? I think it was like, I think one of the receivers like dropped the third and 10. But even though, I don't think that even if he caught it, it wouldn't have been a first down anyways. So you have to make sure that the quarterbacks they get their processing right, they get the read progressions correctly, they understand the concepts and where like everyone is going to be. They have to have that anticipation for these receivers in order to give themselves confidence for these throws, because most of these throws aren't going to be difficult. Like Felipe Franks, this is his rookie season, so he's going to have to realize like what NFL open looks like. AJ McCarron, he has experience in the league, has a couple of wins under his belt in like Cincinnati and whatnot, but it's all about making sure that people like they understand the playbook, right? Like, I don't care if Felipe Franks was much more athletic. If he doesn't understand the playbook and can't get them lined up correctly, that's going to be a problem. And I think that even though we saw more hustle out of the second team guys, out of the third team guys, I should say, in the second half, the first half, second team guys, they looked a little bit more, I shouldn't say comfortable, because they didn't really look like that, but they just seemed more prepared, is what I'll say. So I think AJ McCarron, for the most part, if he's going to have that opportunity to hold on to this backup spot, it's his job to lose still.
LT, go ahead. I know that you've been ready to speak on this. He's been ready for this moment all day.
The floor is yours.
Nah, man, because see, I don't like the fact that people have been really getting on AJ McCarron. Like, again, I've been saying this since yesterday. When I'm watching folks on Twitter go out and say, "Oh my God, we need to get rid of him," like make Felipe Franks our number 2 because he played. I'm looking like the dude completed 2 freaking passes. He didn't do anything. Like, the offense, you cannot give a fair assessment on neither QB because the offensive line play wasn't good. It was not good. You cannot give a fair assessment on neither one. Like I said, like I mentioned earlier, with McCarron, the man had positive plays, but kept getting negated by penalties. That hurts your rhythm. It clearly hurts your rhythm. Beats that as it may, like I said, Tennessee was playing some of their originals. They had a starter and more so a lot of their rotational pieces that was in. Those guys who played a significant amount of snaps. So you basically got 2 rookies that's playing on offensive line, and they're getting whipped due to the fact that the lack of experience. So when McCarron takes a snap and he's in a pass formation, and by the time he takes a snap and takes 2 steps, he's already under duress. I expect that because look at the matchups. Like, it's like I said, the Felipe Franks run, I understand it. It gave a lot of people that old big field. They loved it. Oh my God, we found us a 2% black quarterback. Lord Jesus, thank you.
Wow, this is a 2% black person. You say that?
Yeah, I did. But but with me saying that though, like Felipe, again, a lot of y'all Falcon fans are Bulldog fans. Do y'all not recall seeing Felipe Franks at Florida? Or does that memory escape y'all somehow? Do you not recall the Bulldogs defense dominating him? You got to realize the Bulldogs defense while Felipe Franks at Florida was the closest thing to an NFL outfit as you was going to get. And unfortunately, he sucked. As a matter of fact, we played him again his senior year at Arkansas. And unfortunately, he sucked. So like you got to get with the narratives. Go ahead, man.
I kept seeing this clip on Instagram, and it was back in Florida. It was that Hail Mary throw. I can't remember what team it was against. but he launched like a 70-yard pass, and it's like, oh hey, like he can make these deep throws, and he's got like good mechanics, and he can be like our 6'7" version of Patrick Mahomes in the future. I was like, well, I mean, come on, like there's more to it than this.
Again, I could pull up a YouTube. It's a YouTuber that got all of Georgia highlighted games and stuff like that. I could pull up the games that Felipe Franks was playing UGA in and watch how UGA defense dominate this man. Again, it's the closest thing to an NFL outfit as you gonna get from a college football, and they defense dominated him. So I'm not gonna give him that much credit. Like I said, he had the wrong one. I understand that. I respect that. But like you brought up, we didn't get points out of that. We didn't get no points. We missed the field goal. We didn't, like you said, plays like that should lead to touchdowns. We didn't get that. Like I said, even like you said, the play that on third down, he threw the pass and the receiver dropped it, but he was well short of first down, so it really wouldn't matter anyway. So like I said, I didn't like the fact that people was like unfairly going against AJ McCann because of the fact that he didn't look good running a 20-yard run. Like, I don't care about none of that. Neither one of them had a good performance passing the ball, which is their job. You know what I'm saying? Like, neither one looked good doing that. And like you said, it's the first preseason game. Felipe, fresh in the NFL. AJ, fresh in the new system. They both got to learn this. They got to learn the offense. Offensive line got to play better. But you cannot sit and just automatically throw Felipe Franks, the number 2 QB position on the team. The man went undrafted for a reason. Come on, people. Just pump your brakes.
It's like, I think the reason as to why he went undrafted is because he's a ball of clay type of quarterback. It's like he's got the physical stature of a future NFL quarterback. But he's not there everywhere else. And so, like, if you have him on the roster, you better train him up a couple years, and this is why I think it was a better opportunity for someone like of his stature than someone like Justin Fields, for example, because he's going to be asked to be on the field like sooner rather than later. But Felipe Franks, he needs to be on the field as a starter later rather than sooner. And I think this is evidence of that. It's like you just want him to learn the playbook, learn about the mechanics, learn about, the reads and progressions, and then trying to get down the field and, just worry about the momentum and the speed of the game first, right? Like you have to be comfortable with that. I think AJ McCarron was kind of, he was also kind of worried about that, but this is all the quarterbacks and everyone on the offense. This is their first year with Arthur Smith. Things are going to look a little sloppy.
Right.
That's something that everyone forgets. Like when you have a new offensive coordinator, when you have a new play caller, things aren't going to look perfect. All right. This is why Matt Ryan always has like a dip in his stats every other year. It's because that year was his first year under a new offensive coordinator. It happened in 2019 with Cutter for the second time. It happened in 2017 with the first year with Steve Sarkisian. It happened in 2015 with his first year with Kyle Shanahan. Like the first time with Dirk Cutter, and the very first beginning with Mike Mularkey. Like there were some dips in his. Hold on,
the first year with Cutter, Matt actually threw for like 32 TDs. But like I said, Cutter offense at the time was still formidable.
He got in a rhythm early, so he got in a rhythm early, but later on during the season, kind of tailed off.
Yeah, you're right. But now with me saying that, like I said, with Cutter offense, it was still kind of up in dated. But now when we had him the second time, it was clearly outdated. So, like you said, like I just don't see. Like I said, for me, I just don't see like it was a fair assessment of the two guys, because like you said, it like even now what you mentioned about struggling, I'm going ahead and put this out there now before we get to the season. Matt gonna look a little sluggish in this new offense, but that's the reason why we got to get the running game going early, because it'll help cover that up. And Matt could police himself, and he could pick up where he lacks at. Just once he get in rhythm with the offense and he realizes what's going on, then you start seeing Matt turn into Matt. but he gonna look a little sluggish at first. Possibly.
Matt Ryan is not going to be the MVP Matt Ryan. And that's the thing. We're not going to see the MVP Matt Ryan unless he and Arthur is like they, week 1, week 2, they really understand with each other. We're not going to see the MVP. What we are going to see is the Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Matt Ryan, where he's just going to manage the game and he's going to get in those 2-minute offenses, what he's legendary for. And you kind of run the 2-minute offense to get everybody into a rhythm, and you're going to play certain guys, and you're not going to see everybody. So, like, what we're going to see is a much more manageable offense. It's not going to be an offense like Dirk Cutter just going to come out throwing the ball 50 times a game. Not going to see that. So, this is why you got to lean on your defense. And I don't expect whatsoever Felipe Franks to be a second. He's a developmental guy. All right, let's just pump the brakes on it. And like I said, I meant my tweet. The hell with Fields. We got Felipe, and I was referring to a guy who can run. All right, that's it. Not even trying to even you look at Fields today. He made a ton of mistakes. Let's just be honest. He made a ton of mistakes today that nobody paid any attention to because they were so worried about them out there running. Who the hell run quarterback leagues? I mean, tight end leagues in preseason. Y'all really running a tight end league against fifth string players? Like, really? Y'all really running tight end leagues in the preseason? Who the hell calls tight? And probably the people don't know what a tight end league is. Y'all. If y'all remember, I'm gonna help y'all out. If y'all remember, serve y'all correctly. Do y'all remember the game where the infamous 300-yard game by Julio Jones? Do you remember one of the TD passes that happened with Austin Hooper? That was. It was a hard play action where the line went when the line went one way, Matt bootleg the other way. It was like basically a naked bootleg. But by how the route concepts was, it took the defense away because they paying attention to the quarterback, and the backside tight end pretty much ran with the line of scrimmage, but he leaked out because he could still go on routes, and people don't pay him no attention. Same play where you see Levine Toilolo catch a TD pass against the Seattle Seahawks back in 2017. That's the play that they ran. Who runs that in preseason? You wait till week 5 or something. Preseason? Really? Preseason?
And all that was to display an underthrown pass by Justin Fields. There's a reason why the tight end backpedaled in the end zone.
I didn't want to say it, but I ain't want to say it, but
he was so wide open. There was no one in sight in the pocket for Justin Fields. He had all day to throw. He goes ahead and gets his feet set, gets all the mechanics correctly, and it comes up a little short. But because there was no one in the zip code of the tight end, it didn't matter. And now it looks like a beautiful play.
It wasn't nobody near several states of that, man.
I was like, man, that is all Matt Nagy.
That was a whack call. You don't call that in preseason, bro. That's just
at all. That's like come on. You called it in preseason. It's preseason. This is like the 5th stringers out here. Why are we calling tight end leaks?
Update. The Falcons are waiving John Atkins, defensive lineman, Marcus Murphy, William Sweet, as well as Jamon Moore. Those are the 5 cuts.
Yeah, I don't have any problem.
Where John Atkins came from?
Georgia.
I thought so.
Yeah. So those are the cuts.
Like I said, Marcus Murphy was the guy responsible for roughing the kicker.
Oh my
God! An extra touchdown. I think Moore was number 3. I don't think he got a whole lot of action. But even
who you said roughed the kicker?
Marcus Murphy.
Marcus Murphy. In the 4th quarter, he ran into the kicker.
Yeah. When that happened, I knew he would cut. But that was inevitable.
Yeah.
The minute that happened, I was like, yeah, you lost your job. Your job's gone.
With Atkins, I think it's just a matter of like we have enough guys on the D line at this point that we're comfortable with.
Right.
You know, I think like I don't know if about Chris Slayton. I don't know what's like his deal, but like we're like 5 or 6 D linemen deep now.
Yeah.
You know, like we didn't even see Grady Jarrett. We didn't even see Tyler Davidson.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's like these are people that we would normally start on here. And instead we're showing off with John Kaminsky going 3-tech, which is something that I didn't really see about before. We have Marlon Davidson, Taquan Graham, and all these other people that are just showing off and having themselves an athletic performance. You got to cut it down from like 90 to 75, and you got to cut that down from 75 to 53 at some point too. So only so many people can stay on the team, and you have to take these snaps into consideration for these players because they're playing for their career. You know, and if nothing goes out right for them, then they may not get a second look, or they'll just be stuck on the practice squad of another team.
Right.
All right, so let's get these closing remarks. We'll just start with Noah. Kind of give everybody where to find you, and what you have up next as far as your next thing.
Well, I'm trying to create my own website. This is NLT, which is my initials, but it can also stand for Noah Loves Teaching for afn.wordpress.com. I have at least one post, and I have a couple of pages and articles right there. And like, I'm a football fan first, and I try to be like a student of the game before I am a Falcons fan. But that being said, I'm a big Falcons fan. I want to pay attention to this team a lot. So I didn't have all the resources back in my day. I just got Game Pass, and I'm trying to like make sure that I'm like staying with it on the NFL news as far as the Falcons are concerned. But I'm not going to be the quickest person when it comes to making these articles and making this other stuff because I want to like really passionately write about these things and topics. I am a heavy overthinker, and that kind of proves in the way that I write and the way that I speak. So if you're available and if you're ready for like these elongated articles, if you want like football content, because I've been starved recently, like I think we all have.
Oh, yes.
I think it's weird because the days have been like going by so quickly, and yet the NFL season seems like it was so long. It's like it only took me until recently. It's like, man, we're in August. It's like, man, I'm still thinking it's like that we're in May because of how far away the NFL season seems to me.
Basketball helped with that too. By them playing in the finals always to July, that helped took away because usually the NBA finals be in June. So like the second half of June and all of July, we just look at like crap and ain't nothing on TV. So we have to wait till like Hall of Fame game. But see, by like the NBA finals ended literally probably like 3 weeks ago. To now we in the middle of the first week of preseason. Like that worked out perfectly.
So I think actually the next thing that I'm writing about is there a formula in the NFL that works for any era and any scheme for an offense and defense? I think that I'm trying to work on that, and if I can get some more like opinions on that, as far as like where to start, because something like this is a tough thing to tackle. And before I start referring to a specific era, like do I want to go current? Do I want to go like way back in the history books in order to try to figure out like what was the proper scheme in order to win games, and can the Falcons replicate that for this season? So that's in the works for me, and I'm gonna be really detailed. I'm gonna go through all the argument points. Another thing that I have in the works is going to be a very controversial article for a lot of people, but I don't care because it's something that I'm passionate about. Matt Ryan, is he the standard for a Hall of Fame quarterback?
I'm on board for that. I'm on board. I love the talk controversy. I'm controversy all the way. So I'm game. I can't wait to read that one. I'm definitely in for that one, man. Oh man.
And you know what? Like Like, hey, get all that hatred out of the way, and I'm gonna talk about it, and I'm gonna debunk it while watching film.
Oh, okay.
We do it. Join the fan club because we do it all the time.
The eye in the sky don't lie.
We do it all the time. And for everybody that quote unquote think they have answers, all we keep telling is come on the show, but they don't. They never want to show up. So,
absolutely. So LT, what you got, man?
well, of course, a lot of y'all know me, LT, but y'all can find me on Twitter at wordplay_kid. I do have I am in the works of starting my own podcast as well, which I will be always continuously working with Mad Mike Sports, AFN, GSHM, and Field Sports. Just y'all may have to bear with me at times because like I said, Mike knows I do work a lot, but I will definitely try to be putting out content on the days that I have time to do so. So like I said, just to help out. And a lot of times if y'all don't see me post on my actual channel, you would more likely see me on with Mad Mike and AFN and Field Sports for the most part, because I'm all over the place and these folks like me around in so many turns they need me around. I'm pretty much the historian of the group. So and I'm a comedic relief, so they need me in this group.
You had to throw that one in there, man. Y'all already know what we do here at the Falcons Nation. We appreciate everybody for joining us. I told you we got a lot of content coming for you guys, so get ready for the week. I know there's going to be a lot of news coming out, not only for the Falcons, but the NFC South as well around the league. I'm going to do my best to get to everything. But this is what we do, Atlanta Falcons Nation. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button here. Help us on the quest to the 2K and Mike Sports. Almost at 6K, man. It's been a pleasure.
Before we go, I'm gonna address this dude real quick. For the starters, they gonna have to have a dress rehearsal game, though. It would be very unwise for them to go into the NFL season with no type of play at all. That would just be abysmal.
Game 2 is where the starters gonna get. I think they're gonna get some time in game 2 and game 3. They're just not gonna get any play time.
They just got to get the rust off.
That's all it is, getting the rust off.
Yeah, I think this is the game. So that's pretty much it.
It's really the joint practices that you have to pay attention for.
Right, it's the joint practices. You playing the same team all week. You got the joint practices, and you got a game against them this coming weekend. So yeah, I mean next weekend.
You can only look so good in front of your friends.
Right. Man, that's it. Sheesh, we always go longer than what we always expect, but that's what happens when you love what you do. And like I said, man, we got many people, just associated with Atlanta Falcons Nation, GSHM, Freelance Sports Podcast. That's what we do. We give you nothing but the stats, the facts, and the truth. And we're gonna bring you guys, more beat writers, more NFL players, to give you guys nothing but the truth. You're not going to get a lot of this from elsewhere. You're going to get a lot of, truth and honest opinions from here. So with that being said, man, that's it. That's all we got to say about that. You ain't got to go home, but you got to get the hell up out of here. And that's the end. Peace.
Have a good one, fellas.